Hi, I'm Craig Stevens, spokesperson for Grow America's Infrastructure Now, a nationwide coalition that supports common sense infrastructure development and a strong and healthy U.S. energy sector. Today, I'm here with Energy Transfer co-CEOs Tom Long and Mackie McCrea. In 2022, Energy Transfer had revenues of $89.9 billion, up 33% from the year before. Tom, Mackie, thank you for being here today. Look, Tom, a great 2022. Congratulations on jumping 11 slots in the Fortune list. Recent numbers up 33%, 22 over 21. And then you just announced a number of new records. NGL fractionation volumes up, NGL transportation volumes up, midstream gathering volumes up, intrastate natural gas transportation volumes up, and total NGL exports out of both Nederland and Marcus Hook terminals are all records. To what do you attribute this year-over-year growth over the last several years?
Yeah, if you really look back over the last several years, you've seen us make substantial investments in our assets, which is, it's in our DNA to continue to grow. And when you look at our team and the processes we go through in making all the decisions as to where we invest and what we do, it's showing up. It's showing up through the, all those volume records you were just referring to. It's showing up in our numbers and in our revenue. And I know we'll continue to stay on that path, but I'd say a lot of it is all about the team that we have here at Energy Transfer and how we are careful with every dollar that we invest.
So, Mackie, how important is it to expand, number one, but as you look forward to the next 12 to 24 months, there's consolidation in the midstream sector. There's a regulatory environment where it's hard to build anything. What are you looking to do and accomplish?
I would answer that not change anything we've done. When we started this partnership years ago, we had kind of a two-pronged approach. One is organic growth through building out assets, and two is doing M&A. And it's real important to have a nice balance because, as you know, as everybody knows, with M&A, you got immediate cash flow. With some of these longer-term projects, it takes a while to build and quite a while to get to. So we're really not changing anything. We're going to continue to look at as many M&A opportunities as possible. We're going to continue to look at every possible project that could benefit our existing assets and add more value to our partnership and our unit holders. So that's how we started this partnership, and we'll maintain that strategy from now on.
So ET's business generates a tremendous amount of cash flow. Even after you're paying interest, you're paying your distributions, there's still significant amounts available. If things go as planned, what do you see Energy Transfer doing with that available cash flow?
Well, we are very proud of the significant cash flow that we do generate, and you'll look at it each year. It just continues to grow, and it's a great model. It's a great model that we do have. And so when you really look at how we prioritize, we have looked at our balance sheet, meaning our leverage ratio of 4 to 4.5. Or in other words, our debt to EBITDA being in that range. And we've worked hard to get it to that. But I'd call that kind of the first priority. But second is that we continue to look at returning, equity to our stakeholders, equity holders. And when you really look at that, distribution growth is something that we've been very diligent upon after we, reduced it back a few years ago. And we're back up above that, and we're now on a 3 to 5% growth rate. So it's a great place to be. Probably the third item is to continue to invest in our enterprise, like we started off here in talking about it, and it's proven to be a great model that we have. So that would kind of be the third. And the fourth, as we continue to get to the lower end of that leverage ratio, is to look at unit buybacks. We know that likewise will help in improving our unit price, continuing to grow our unit price. So that's probably the four priorities we have.
Mackie, when you're looking at new construction, what goes into the calculus on a final investment decision?
A lot goes into it. We kind of begin with what type of project is it? Where is it located? Then we start looking at where are the customers, who are the customers, what's their kind of financial stability. Then we start looking at is there upstream or downstream revenue? And then we really focus on the regulatory risks and the cost risks because we're certainly in an environment today. I think we've got more, as you mentioned at the beginning, more regulatory risk and concerns than we've ever had. A lot goes into that, and then after that full analysis, we'll look at what is IRR, how accretive is it, and is it deleveraging for our partnership. So a lot goes into that, but every project kind of has its own analysis.
Mackie, I know one of the things that the energy sector and the broader employment sector is taking a look at right now are retirements. The last edge of the baby boomers are about to turn 60. As the leader of a company like Energy Transfer, where the margin for error is so small, how are you making sure that your next generation is well-trained and well-recruited?
Yeah, it's kind of three things there. One, we encourage a fun workplace. We want our employees to come in, to have fun. Some employees come in and they want to stay doing the same thing for their careers. That's fine. But those that want to move up and learn, we kind of encourage openness, encourage creative thoughts, questions, and really try to learn different aspects of the business. On the other end of the spectrum, we've got people that are getting older, as you alluded to, where we've got retirement ages. So we really watch that, and we get indications from folks that are retiring. We make sure we've got people that will step in once they officially retire, and we don't miss a beat there. And then lastly, we really run a really strong intern program where we'll interview hundreds of college students a year, and we usually will hire about 60 to 70 every summer, and they'll work a couple of summers, some of those, and many times are offered a job at our partnership. So we kind of look up along the broad spectrum to make sure we don't run into the issues of having employee shortages of good talent in the future.
So, Tom, we've been hearing peak oil since the mid-1950s. They've been talking about peak oil. The last 3 months, the world used more oil than it's ever had in its history before that. Are you, Energy Transfer, bullish on oil? Or are you concerned that we're getting close to the end here?
Absolutely, we're bullish. When you really look at that history you just referred to, and then you look at the globe, and you look at the population growth that's occurred. But another fact that's worth noting is over half of that population is still in energy poverty. And that population of the globe wants to have a standard of living similar to what we enjoy here in the United States. So it's easy to be bullish here when you look out. And listen, we've traveled to a lot of these other areas of the globe where you do see that energy poverty, and it's difficult to watch the humanitarian needs that go on around that we don't necessarily see every day as we sit here in the United States. So it's something that in our mind, there's just no doubt. If you look out 100 years, you're going to see the growth and the energy needs that are occurring around the globe.
Yeah, Mackie, you've been pretty outspoken on the U.S.'s role, both when it comes to energy security, national security, to make as a hedge against nefarious actors, and also on energy poverty. But what do you think the U.S. role should be when it comes to supplying energy to the world?
I think it's the role that the world's seen from our country over the last really year or two, and what our partnership has done. I mean, we've gone out of our way to, one, provide energy for our country, for the domestic needs for our country, but we've also been blessed as a country with enormous reserves. And so Energy Transfer has really stepped it up to build export capabilities for LNG, NGL projects, products. And then we also are chasing the LNG, our Lake Charles, and we also export quite a bit of oil. So the way I would frame it and add a little bit to what Tom said is, it's really selfish when you look at the position that many in this country have taken that are running this country. To a certain degree, it's ignorance, but it's also selfishness. You know, we live, as Tom just mentioned, in an incredible standard of living here. And what we want to do is we want to handcuff the rest of the world, part of South America, Africa, Asia, India, where they're burning dung and wood and diesel and coal when they could be generating reliable and affordable natural gas-fired generation. And then secondly, in some of their homes, they could be burning propane or butane instead of some of these other products that are so much more, worse on the environment, worse on emissions, and worse on their health. We do everything we can to try to help the world benefit and live the type of lives that we live in the U.S.
Well, following up on that, your partnership, you're looking to expand in China. You're looking at Panama. How does international relations, how do those projects play out in how you see distribution into the rest of the world?
Yeah, and I just mentioned some of this, but for quite a while, we were kind of a domestic partnership. And as we grew and added assets and bought assets, we realized that there was a bigger demand in the world that we could help play a part of. And a lot of it was our teams were so successful in gathering and processing gas. 5-6 years ago, we started seeing that where's all this going to go? Where's the NGL going to go? Where's all this natural gas going to go? And we realized we needed to begin building export capabilities to benefit the world. And so we've really focused on that. We have sent teams out the last 3 or 4 years throughout the world. For example, we sell NGL products to over 50 countries at any given time and average close to 20, 25 countries each month that we're selling to. And so we've kind of stepped up and are really excited about a bigger presence that we're playing in the international market. And we think we play an important role. We look forward to the future and increasing our role in meeting the needs of not only this country, but of the world.
So, Tom, when you're looking at domestic needs and also international needs and your export capabilities, how does forecasting get involved in that? Like, what are you looking at in order to make those strategic long-term decisions for the company?
Well, one of the first things we look at is what really makes sense and what we're good at. And so we've always been kind of focused on the supply side of that equation, and we've been very good at moving products to where you can get the highest value for all the products, all of our customers that are moving product through our system. And when you start moving into then the downstream side of it, the international piece of it makes a lot of sense, but it still needs to be a fit. It needs to be something that we're good at, we understand, and that we have the control over as you look down. And that's once you can become, a great service provider that gets the highest value for your customers, it's easy to keep attracting more growth through more customers and the supply side of the equation. So this international was just a natural fit. And when we look at any other assets, any of the other growth we do, it's all about finding where you can capture the highest value for not only yourselves, but for the customers that are using all the services that we provide.
So, Tom, what do you think about the future of pipelines when it comes to things like carbon capture and sequestration and hydrogen and ammonia? Is there a place there for U.S. midstream?
There is. One thing worth highlighting is we get up every day with being very environmentally friendly with all of our assets. I think we've got absolutely the best operating team out there that watches every single action they take, not only for safety, but environmental and likewise for reliability when they do that. But let's go to a couple of the ones you brought up, the carbon sequestration. We are working with some partners on that and looking at that. You'll see us, some of it up over in Louisiana and some other locations that we're doing. And we do see some value in that. I think hydrogen was the other thing, other item that you brought up. And when you look at that, likewise, we've got some dialogue going on with some other very large energy companies. We mentioned Oxy, for example. And the key to everything that we do is, we're going to go back to something you asked early on about, and that was how we invest the dollars. So we're going to be very cautious as to how we invest them. They need to make economic sense. They need to make economic sense on their own, not just with the subsidies coming in. So as we continue to evaluate these, we do have a team that's formed, a very strong team that is looking at a lot of these projects that are in pretty advanced stages right now.
So Mackie and Tom, you've been co-CEOs for 2.5 going on 3 years now. You've both been with the company for 13 years and 3 decades.
There.
What would you say was the biggest learning since you've been CEO, and what are you looking most forward to?
I think the biggest learning is how to kind of start a partnership that is one little pipeline that doesn't have any products in East Texas with a few employees, and growing that company, as I mentioned earlier, both through organic growth and through acquisitions. And so you're building assets, bringing in new employees to build them, and then you're buying companies that have new employees coming in. So just managing the culture and encouraging everybody to kind of adopt the culture that we have, that we've built with the leadership of Kelsey, our chairman. And then it's been an incredible ride. I mean, we've gone from, 10 or 12 of us to a lot of folks, and we play such an important role in the United States. So it's been kind of eye-opening to see what we've grown into and how important a role we play both in the U.S. economy and the world. So it's been a fun ride, and we're very much looking forward to the future.
It's been obviously the best, 13 years of my entire career. But when you look back, nearly 44 years now of being in the midstream space, the pipeline, et cetera, it was so much fun joining this team. There was a lot of focus on natural gas whenever I first became part of this team, and it has been an unbelievable ride. Now that we then quickly moved into the natural gas liquids piece of it, then we moved into the crude oil piece of it, and then geographically kept growing. And that kind of goes into what we've been talking about, continuing to move downstream and international. And that's a lot of excitement over a short period of time, but it's been so rewarding to be able to watch what's occurred in this short period of time.
Well, again, congratulations on Fortune being number 43. It's really an incredible achievement. And thank you for joining me today.
Thank
you.
Appreciate it.